Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement, dear Southern Cameroonians, wherever you may be, accept liberation greetings from me today, Comrade John Akuro. Today is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. My people of Ambazonia, there is horror all over our land. There is wailing. There is mass movement as the people are running from one locality to the other in search of safety. My people of Ambazonia, a few weeks ago, I heard some people say La République was saying that genocidal campaign in Ambazonia was over and that normalcy had returned. But recently, we have observed that the so-called talk of normalcy by La République du Cameroon was a kind of camouflage to the international community to turn their attention away, while they really go on a massive campaign to depopulate. I'd like us to underline the word, to depopulate Ambazonia in the interest of the citizens of La République du Cameroon who are settling on our land. The plan is simple. Go as much as possible after the male population. I insist, the male population. I had mentioned this a few years back at the start of this campaign, that La République du Cameroon was more interested in the male population. When the outcry was too much, they slowed down just a little and started doing it on a very low scale so that nobody should take note. But now the urgency has returned. People may be asking themselves, why has the urgency returned? That La République du Cameroon is now entering villages and combing. I mean combing. Just like you bring a tractor onto the farm and want to demolish the entire place. Yes, there is serious urgency for La République du Cameroon now to depopulate our land, especially of the male, of men, both young and old. And this campaign is seriously ongoing. In my last outing here, I said, if you are a young man in Ambazonia, in the southern Cameroons, and you are not a self-defense volunteer, look for safety somewhere else, because your life is extremely at risk. I mean, extremely at risk. I insist on this. Look, folks, when you see what happened in Big Babanke, you look at what happened in Com, in Bello, and all of those things, and then in Anyajwa. You look at what happened in Ekona. Check on what is happening right now somewhere in Meme. My dear brothers and sisters of Ambazonia, you will agree with me that when the campaign started today in Mbiame, the focus is on the male population, especially even those that they meet in the various compounds who are not fighting. And the reason is the fear that as they continue to commit their atrocities, this male population are potential self-defense volunteers. So in anticipation, they are decimating our male youthful population. And in return, they are raping our wives, raping our mother, raping our daughters. So they view to impregnating them so they can have some kind of hybrid population. And at the same time, they are going after our land and after our possessions. They are not only doing this, they are looting massively as they go. My people of Ambazonia, I know you'll be wondering why I started this show today, this discussion today, without the usual niceties and all of those things, because there is nothing to be nice about. Now, if you're just joining, if you've just connected, please share the link. Share the link as much as possible. I need as many people as possible to be connected to this discussion right now, so that together we look at the horror being visited on our people in our land, so that those who have yet to have a change of mind to understand that we are facing collective annihilation should have an idea what exactly is going on. My dear people of Ambazonia, I've said this before and I will repeat it. We have to work together. I've said this before and I will insist. We must, we must, it's a matter of must, finance this liberation movement. We must provide the means necessary for our people to survive in Ambazonia. Otherwise, we stand a chance of one day inheriting a land being just land with all our people crushed. We need a majority of our population to be alive to enjoy this freedom when that time comes. Because freedom there will be. But all we need to do, minimize our losses. Minimize them as much as possible. As you join, share this link. I've said before that La République du Cameroon and even their internal handlers, enablers in this liberation movement have not stopped attacking this platform. Of course, for obvious reasons. So they're doing everything to make sure even those who are subscribed, sometimes their preferences are changed so that when there's a live broadcast, you cannot have notifications. So those of us who still get the notifications, share to all the forums where you belong as much as possible. We must continue this education and sensitization campaign. We must continue the mass mobilization of our people to stand behind and for what we all believe in. This is how we will be able to overcome the daunting challenges before us to sail to that freedom land which we all seek. My dear people of Ambazonia, I come today to sound an alarm. Listen, when I say sound an alarm, I don't intend to be alarmist or to cause people to rush amok. I want to begin on this by congratulating our self-defense volunteers in Bamesing, Ndop, in Gokotunjia County, for the wonderful job they did within the past 48 hours to minimize civilian losses. Because at the moment I communicate, I'm speaking to you, the dogs from La République du Cameroun are in all the bushes, all the farms, all the fields in Bamesing. But good enough, the self-defense volunteers have sounded the alarm with audio messages 2 days ago and until yesterday, where they called on the civilian population, especially the male and the most vulnerable, to depart to safer places before La République du Cameroon's campaign begins. They were informed, we reached out through backdoor channels, and they did the needful. And as I speak to you, it is not easy in Bamesing, but a lot of the most vulnerable people have left the land. My people of Ambazonia, if you know anyone in Bamesing, if you are from Bamesing, if you are from Gokotunjia, of course, you don't only need to be from there. To reach out to the people out there, bring in the little contribution you can to support especially the civilian vulnerable people running amok for safety. And I want to doff my heart to all those who did same to our people in Big Babanki, to all those who did same to our people in Anyajwa, to all those who are doing same to our people in Ekona. And of course, you know that somewhere on the road, that's in Meme, the boys of Transporter, the late Transporter, they came out and they carried out some action. I'm just trying to look that up. And as we speak, there is massive confusion among the talks of La République du Cameroun in that area. And so the net consequence is that they are actually going to be after people in that area. I guess I got this audio. Yes, which is talking about what is going on in Meme. Because this happened in Meme, and
they bring four kilometers for down. Some of them down at the serious picture. Let transporter picking them. Now they do. Now they carry that action. So they worry for Konya right now.
okay, so this is specifically in Konya. This is
The moment
specifically in
they one of
Konya.
their big man. So,
Yes. So this message came in last night at 6:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That was in Konya, where the self-defense volunteers under the command of late transporter had a confrontation with the talks from Yaoundé, and four of them went down. You know exactly what's going to happen after that. They will descend on the civilian population. They will reduce houses to dust, to ashes. They will kill anyone they meet on the road. You know what they did to a young man in Kumba on Sunday, just because he did not have his national identity card on him. The gendarme asked him to board a car, and he said, "You don't arrest on Sundays. Come on, my house is just around." And what did they do? The gendarme officer took out his toy and offloaded four on a young man's chest and ended his life. That is the license they have in Ambazonia. They won't do this in La République du Cameroon. You rather find them even fighting, but they won't do that. But because our people have been described to them as not being human, as being just half human, as being animals, as I said before, they kill us for their sport. As I said before, they train themselves on how to use firearms on our people. My dear people of Ambazonia, call those of us who are in the diaspora, call back home. Call and call and call. Bring your support to all our family members. Bring your support to our neighbors who don't have anyone in the diaspora. Bring your support to all our vulnerable people, because we need to get them moved to safer locations where the self-defense volunteers face this out with the talks from La République du Cameroon. You know, my penchant, my soft spot is always the safety of the civilian population. That is why I always come here to launch this clarion call for assistance we must bring to them. If you are just joining, like I said, share and share and share, because everyone needs to get this information. I came into this room this evening after I received this piece of information from one of ours who is working with the military of La République du Cameroon. And this is what she said. She wrote, and I decided to verify. First, I received this at 4:22 a.m. That was breaking yesterday. 4:22 a.m. yesterday, breaking yesterday, June 27. But I decided not to come on LT. I wanted to verify with others in that same military to be sure before I get down to this piece of information. And of course, it came back as carefully verified. That's why I'm sharing this, so that we all know and reach out to our people in Mbiame. The message read, "Accept greetings, brother. All the boys in Mbiame should move out of town. Of course, the self-defense volunteers are there to defend the community. I'm not alarming you to run away. I'm saying what is going to happen so you know exactly what to do." He says their fun is equally in danger. He's talking about the fun of Mbiame. Of course, we all know. We all saw the colonial senior divisional officer issue a query letter, a warning letter to the fund of Mbiame. We all saw the colonial divisional officer summon the fund of Mbiame and his notables to his office for serious warning. And we all heard what they said. We all read their claims, how they were accusing the fund of not only supporting but abetting Amba, and accusing him directly of being a self-defense volunteer. And so this is because of the huge popularity they saw this fund benefit when he traveled to the United States of America. He was received in the United States of America by Ambazonians from far and near, not only by the sons and daughters of Mbiame, but by Ambazonians from far and near. And La République du Cameroon does not like that. When he got back home, he was received in pomp and ceremony by his people. La République du Cameroon does not like any elite in Ambazonia that is cooperating, collaborating, and working with and for his or her people. That is why they are now after the life of the fund of Mbiame. The message says he will be picked up. The killing in that village will be wild. Listen to me very well. This is a soldier, a high-ranking officer in the army of La République du Cameroon, who is from southern Cameroon's expression, who sent me this, and I verified with others in that same army, and the information came back to be true. So he says, the killing in Mbiame will be wild if they cannot move. Saying if the self-defense volunteers cannot move, you people need to arm them all. You people need to arm all of them. This is the message I'm reading it as it came. And it says, tell them to be ready to respond to any attack. He says they are going to come in from all angles, from all the roads getting into Mbiame. Any road getting into Mbiame, they'll even come through the farms, through the bushes, through every path. So let the civilian population be aware and take serious guard. And he says blood will flow and flow in Mbiame like a stream. Blood will flow and flow in Mbiame like a stream. My people of Ambazonia, it's not going to be anything specifically new in Mbiame. It's what we have already seen in Big Babanke. It's what we have already seen in Anyajwa. It's what we have already seen in Ekona. It's what we have already seen in Bello. My dear people of Ambazonia, it's what we are seeing right now as I speak in Bamesing. It is what we have already seen in Oku Noni. It's not going to be anything new. The clarion call I launched is for our people in these areas. Take care of the most vulnerable, those that are sick, those that are lame, those that are so old they can't walk, they can't move. Take serious measures with them right now so that we don't soon see pictures of them being roasted alive in their homes. It is painful, but this is our lot. This is what we have been going through all this while. Yet some of our people sit, they fold their arms and they say, when you call them to talk about this, they say, that will nothing. That your thing. I'm no longer interested in that your thing. Look at, when La République du Cameroon's killing machine gets to the ground, they don't care whether it is our thing or it is your thing. They don't care whether it is Mbaakuro's thing or it is your own. They don't care whether the houses they are burning belong to black legs or they don't. They don't care whether they belong to CPDM officials or they don't. They burn. In areas where they target, it is because the CPDM officials and their family members in those localities have decided to settle scores with some people and set them up. This is a reality. This is what we are living through. And this is what we must be able to stand up to. Why they are going after the phone of Mbiame? Now, it's because the phone of Mbiame refused to operate like phone Vuswibung Benjamin of Kejom Keku. He refused to stand with the oppressor against his people. That is why they are after him now. Wherever you are, you can reach the phone of Mbiame, call him, extend kind words to him. You can't reach him, go on your knees, pray for the phone of Mbiame and all those phones in Ambazonia who are continuing to stand with their people. Whatever form of assistance you can give to any of these funds so that they should know that they are doing the right thing, don't hesitate to do that. My people, I said here some time ago that you become unstoppable once you realize that you deserve better. This is no fallacy. I will repeat this over and over until it sinks, because we must all realize that we deserve better than this carnage being unleashed on us and on our people. We must come to realize that as a people, we have the capacity and the power to take care of our destiny. Look at what our brothers and sisters who have decided to sacrifice their lives are able to do with nothing. Look at, they are putting in their all to protect our communities, to free our homeland. Yet all we do sometimes is sit back, curse them, call them all kinds of names. When the least piece of information comes about anything called, oh, they did not behave well, they beat up someone or they picked up someone in the community, but the same rage doesn't come when it happens with La République du Cameroon stocks in our land. The same rage doesn't come. I have not seen that rage of the people come out after what happened in Anyajwa. Just take a look. This is Mbiame reporting. Huh? It says, so many people suffered in Anyajwa. Shops were looted, some razed, and people killed. In fact, the level of destruction is unbelievable. Yet authorities claimed the PPRD, that is a Presidential Plan for Reconstruction and Development, is there to reconstruct. Will it reconstruct all the lives that have been lost? Mbiame says it's someone out there in Anyajwa who lived what you are seeing on your screen, who asked this question. And that's why you see the caption, Cameroon soldiers rubbish presidential plan for reconstruction and development. My people, this is the carnage. This is the ordeal our people are going through. They loot, they don't just break in. They loot, they kill, they maim, they rape, they do all kinds of atrocities. And then those who call themselves the elite of COM are seated in Yaoundé. Some people are seated somewhere in Yaoundé, calling themselves parliamentarians from COM. Some people are seated in Yaoundé, calling themselves senators from COM. Some people are in Yaoundé, seated in Yaoundé, calling themselves CPDM officials from COM. Some people are in Yaoundé, seated in Yaoundé, calling themselves directors, secretaries of state, I don't care what, from COM. None of them is saying a thing. None of them. I mean, none of them is saying a thing. It's when you are caught in this kind of situation that you know who is for you, that you know who is standing with you, that you know who has your interest at heart. If it were the self-defense volunteers, some misguided one amongst them, who broke just into a store and took out food to go and eat, you will hear they will be saying they should mobilize the village to go out and march against Ambazonia. And some moderator and some Presbyterian church will come out and say that illusory thing called Ambazonia. Here they are talking of raping the same mothers he claimed he wanted to protect. He was angry because they were torturing in Kejomkeku. These are them being raped in COM. I've not heard anything from the moderator of the Presbyterian church in Cameroon. 2 girls confessed on video to being raped in Boya, not far away from the Synod house, from the Synod office, where the moderator is seated. Until the time I came into this studio, I've still not heard a communique of condemnation from the Presbyterian church. I'm calling the international community to witness that even those who are supposed to be so opinionated as to denounce some of these atrocities ongoing in Ambazonia, in the southern Cameroons, because of blood money, are siding with the oppressor against the same people they profess to love so much, they profess to protect so much. I say this just so that anytime you find any useless press release or communique coming out from them, pick it with a pinch of salt. Not that those things were drafted in Yaoundé and sent to them just to append their signatures on it. And if my good friend, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, says I'm lying, come out and be a man. Come out and be a man of God and condemn these things I'm talking about. If you are doubting, this is another one. This is Nzuimanto. Nzuimanto is a La République du Cameroun activist. That Nzuimanto talking about, let me share with you images of the carnage the military caused in Anyajwa, a locality in Bello subdivision. They stole from people's shops and burned some of the remaining things. Those pictures are published by Nzuimanto. You see there? Nzuimanto officiel, Mr. Moderator of the Presbyterian Church, and to all the church leaders, to all the religious leaders in the southern Cameroons, in Ambazonia. When are you going to rise to the occasion? When are you going to come up and make your voice heard so that the people know that they have true shepherds of the word in the land? This thing is happening. No one is saying anything. I said before that La République du Cameroon, they believe so much in black magic. That's why when they get into the place in our land, they are killing at random, but they sometimes have specific groups of people they are targeting. As you can see on the Post newspaper, the Post newspaper makes clear that the military directs elimination machinery towards traditional healers in Babanki. Did I hear someone, even in this liberation movement, say those that were killed were mainly self-defense volunteers? 9 in number and 3 were wounded. The truth is being spilled out on a daily basis. Some of the old people they killed, who were either notables, and because they had disagreement with the fund on his policy of siding with the oppressor against the people, or they went after anyone who's a traditional healer, whether we've done anything or not, whether you cooperate with the self-defense volunteers or not, the presumption is that because you are a traditional healer, you have special powers. And those special powers that you have, you are going to direct those special powers at the self-defense volunteers to make them resist the talks from La République du Cameroon. That is the level to which the so-called well-trained army of La République du Cameroon is so insecure against children. Like I call them self-defense volunteers who just got up and picked up arms to defend their communities. Because they can't reach them, they go after soft targets. I followed an audio, a very daring and dangerous audio. I will speak to that audio in broken language tomorrow, in Pidgin. I will speak to that audio late tomorrow or early Friday morning, but I guess late tomorrow. Because that audio is extremely dangerous. What they are saying and requesting to be done and the new approach they want to embrace in that audio is extremely dangerous. I'll be calling the attention of the international community to the danger we've always pointed to, that they're sitting by and watching and they are expecting bloodbath. They will soon have more than what they really expect. Because what La République du Cameroon is doing in Ambazonia, they have taken the provocation to another level. And I really pray that we don't get to the level of response that I'm beginning to hear. Take a look at this. Military replay Babanki horror movie in a corner. You and I, we all watched with disbelief, in total consternation, in shock and embarrassment. How the military of La République du Cameroon went to a corner, moved into a home, and decimated a family of 7, including babies as young as 3 and others as young as 4. 7. How do we explain this? How do we explain that, people? I am going through this horror movie being unveiled in Ambazonia by La République du Cameroon, just so that those of us in this liberation movement who are beginning to feel you can get tired. So you have a clear idea, a clear view exactly what is happening in our land. You have a clear view what is awaiting us in our land. Like I said earlier, when you join, share. Share and share as much as possible, because my people, we need our people to be sensitized, to be informed, and to be educated about what is ongoing. I've said the new approach by La République du Cameroon today, that's when I say new, they have brought it back to the fore, and right now they are upping it, they are taking it to another level, because they tell themselves the international community is not watching right now, so they are ready to decimate as many young men as possible in our land. They are doing that on top speed in every locality. If you are a young man, if you are a man, able-bodied man in Ambazonia, in any of our villages, and you are not part of the self-defense volunteers, look for a safe place to stay. I've heard even that audio from the self-defense volunteers themselves. That is why one of them, who spoke from Ngokutunja, said, he said, if you are a young man and you're not a self-defense volunteer, look for a safe haven and go for now, because your life is at risk, because you are the main target. And if you are just joining this broadcast, of course, which will be rounded, we're rounding up in a few minutes only, take note that La République du Cameroon is planning carnage in Mbiame, the scale of which we are yet to see. That's a carnage, a kind of carnage never before seen in Ambazonia. They are planning that in Mbiame. They consider that the action of the Fund of Mbiame that has consisted in refusing to stand with the colonizer, to stand with the oppressor, to stand with the killer against his people is an affront, is an insult to a colonial administration to which he is considered an auxiliary. And so they are bent and ready to carry out or to conduct collective punishment to all the people in Mbiame, no exception. Even if you are a black leg in Mbiame, your life is not safe right now because they are also after you. That is why I read this message and I will repeat it in the interest of those just joining, that this message is from one of ours who is working with the army of La République du Cameroon. He said, accept greetings, brother. All the boys in Mbiame should move out of town. That's his premise. Of course, I know our self-defense volunteers know how to conduct themselves in this kind of circumstances. He says their fund is equally in danger. He will be picked up. I'm talking about the fund of Mbiame in Bui County. The killing in that village will be wild. If they cannot move, you people need to arm all of them. Tell them to be ready to respond to any attack. They will burn. They will loot. They will rape. They will destroy. They will do all kinds of things. Blood will flow and flow like a stream in Mbiame. My people, listen. And I said that this is not just about Mbiame. It's the same thing they were planning in Bamese. Fortunately enough, our self-defense volunteers were sensitized to early enough, and they took all measures to ensure that the most vulnerable of our people moved to safer locations. But take note, when they're coming this time, like they said about the case of Mbiame, I think I omitted that part, they are going to come in from all directions. All the road leading into and out of Mbiame will be blocked. They'll be moving in that fashion. They will even move through the fields, that's through the farms, through the bushes, and so therefore take appropriate measures. This is exactly what they are doing in Bamesen right now. They are in rice fields, they are in farms, they came through the bushes and everything. So even at the moment I speak, it's not easy in Bamesen. And I heard the self-defense volunteers say, no car is allowed to pass through Bamesen to Ndop or through Bamesen from Ndop, getting to anywhere, because any car on the road will be considered the enemy and a veritable target. So my dear civilian population, hear this and be safe. This is my focus always, making sure the civilian population is safe in this kind of daredevil circumstances. So now I move on. Look at this again. Like I said, today, this broadcast today is a broadcast of the whole. It's a panorama through the horrors being visited by La République du Cameroon onto our people in Ambazonia. So you look at this. When they are not doing this to our people in the villages, when they are not doing this on the fields, when they are not doing this, in the farms or in various camps, they are doing it even in detention centers where they cut our people unexpectedly and carry them to conduct serious exactions on them. This is exactly what is happening. So when they even take them to the fields, the kind of thing they do to them is horrible. And that's why I'm sharing this, just so we can all see for ourselves. This is the account of Manjong Henry, of what he went through in detention. And at the end of the day, they established that he had no connection at all with the self-defense volunteers. Others simply got killed. Like the young man in Kumba. They were not as lucky as Manjong, who managed at least to live through this experience and then graduate from their horrible detention centers. But during their graduation, we don't know for how long. We don't know what they have done to him to make sure that when he comes out there, he wouldn't have long to live. This is why any of our people who find themselves in the detention centers of La République du Cameroon, when they come out, we must take the pains to have them carefully examined medically, get them through as many medical exams as possible, so that we are certain that nothing has been done to destroy their organs to offer them gradual death. This is yet another one. Sacrilegious carnage in Noni. Gendarmes have killed 18 civilians, raped women, and killed their husbands. This is in Noni, in Oku. That's Oku Noni. This is the area from which Philemon Yang, the former prime minister of La République du Cameroon, hails from. This is the area where Fai Yengo Francis, the chairman of La République du Cameroon's DDR, this is where he comes from Oku Noni. That is where they are telling you about this carnage ongoing there, visited on our people by the thugs of La République du Cameroon. What are we getting? Silence. My people, don't close your eyes. Don't let anger, frustration, because of little mistakes here and there, turn your attention away from this liberation movement. Because we need to fight. Because we need to continue to contribute in whatever way we can to ensure that La République du Cameroon finally leaves our land. Listen, folks, you see, the urgency of now as to why La République du Cameroon is after all the men in Ambazonia is because they are anticipating that anything can happen in their land pretty soon. And because of the disorder they anticipate can happen in their land, they want to reduce the fighting force in Ambazonia, reduce even the potential of a growth in the fighting force, so that they will be able to fight their war, finish resolving their issues, and come back more united and strong to continue to hold us in bondage. We should know now to them it is extremely urgent. Now to them is extremely important. This is not a time for us to slumber. This is a time for us to mobilize ourselves wherever we are. Raise the funds. Raise your funds in groups. Raise your funds in your family meetings. Raise your funds in your village meetings. Send this money. If you can't send to anybody on the ground, send to the APLC. By any means that you can, send it there. Send it, please. Send the money to support our people on the ground. They need it now more than ever before. Don't wait until when these contributions will become useless before you send in. The time for us to rise up and stand for our people is now. My people of Ambazonia, while they are doing everything to depopulate our land, at the same time, they are already beginning to think ahead. That is why they're already making plans to expropriate more land from our people, claiming to build divisional delegations. But because this land will have to be set aside to be distributed free of charge, they don't just take any kind of land, they take choice land to be distributed free of charge to citizens of La République du Cameroon that they are planning to send in en masse to come and replace our population they are decimating because they are depopulating our land. They have to send replacements in anticipation. For what most people forget, they know that at the end of it all will be a referendum. That when we will finally end on the negotiations table, they may end up to request a referendum that let the people decide. That is why right now they're already taking measures to depopulate our land. And at the same time, they're taking measures to expropriate our land to bring in more of their people who will pass for our people and be there at the booth to vote, to decide for you and me. Now, when you see the document there, confused as it is, I know a lot of people have paid more attention to the confusion in the write-up because you see, this is the Minister of Land Tenure. Yeah, that's the Minister of State Property, Surveys and Land Tenure. That is Henri Eyebe Ayisi. And this was since April 25, 2023. He wrote to the governor of the Southwest. He addressed this letter to the governor of the Southwest for something that should be happening in the Northwest. I'm calling it according to their denominations because that's what he said. I'm sharing this letter just so that you see it on your screen while I read it here. So he says, it is an appeal for a special authorization for the allocation of 30 hectares of land surrender. 30 hectares to build a regional delegation. Listen, 30 hectares to build a regional delegation. A regional delegation, not to build a ministry, not to build a village. Does anyone know how many square meters of land are in 1 hectare? Go to Uncle Google. Go to Auntie Google immediately. You will be shocked for what you see. 1 hectare of land equal to 10,000 square meters of land. A football field is equal to 10,000 square meters of land. A football field, the playground, is equal to 10,000 square meters of land. To build a divisional delegation, the Minister of State Property, Survey and Land Tenure wants 30 hectares of land. That is 10,000 times 30. Add it up and see what it gives. 10,000 times 30, that's about 300,000 square meters of land just to construct a delegation. Does that story fly? I want us to understand this because they want to expropriate this land. And in the choice place, let's read on. He says, by sending to you attached thermocopy of the correspondence number C/101/volume -I87 SG of 8 February forwarded to me by the Lord Mayor of Idenau. And now it talks about Idenau, but it's addressed to the governor of the Southwest. Let's talk about Idenau relating to the subject cited in margin. And then he says, I have the honor to inform you that by a separate correspondence of this day, I have instructed the senior divisional officer for Mbiame. Mbiame is in Bamenda, in the northern zone, in what they will call Northwest. Idenau is out. It's in Fako, precinct about 45 minutes drive out of Limbe, out of Victoria. So he says, I have instructed the senior divisional officer for Mbiame to identify an available and susceptible land at the upstation Bamenda, and if necessary, to have the related technical and administrative files forwarded to me in order to proceed with the allocation process to the benefit of your regional delegation. It will please you to instruct your competent collaborators to approach the administrative authorities in charge for all purposes. Now, When I saw this and I read all the incongruities on this document, immediately I suspected that it should have been a fake or fraudulent piece of paper. And so I immediately sent it through, channels best known to me to verify, especially the registration number 017739 L Mincaf SJ of the 25th of April 2023. And it came back to me that this document is legit. It came back to me that this document is legit. Unfortunately, it is fraught with errors and all of those things. Of course, it will be fraught with errors because a lot of the times they will try to do this thing on the backs of those of our compatriots who are serving at that ministry from the southern Cameroon, from southern Cameroon's extractions, because they are afraid of leakages, that they may leak it out. So they just pick up their people who can write any kind of things. They don't even know the areas they are talking about. They don't know the terrain. They don't know anything. They go about to write this kind of things. But I just pointed out to you, the intention here is not land to construct a regional delegation. No. No. That is for the governor, because he calls it regional delegation for the governor. It's not land to construct a governor's office. No. They are looking for land to expropriate so they can distribute this land, share this land out to their people free. Our land, free. That's what they do. Pick the choicest land. If you go to GRA, upstation in Bamenda, a lot of the land was allocated to citizens of French Cameroon. It was an Herculean task for the people of the southern Cameroons to petition here and there and get a good chunk of those pieces allocated to people who did not even need them. That because a lot of these people started selling it back to the owners of the land at exorbitant rates. That's what raised the eyebrows. And this has been done in almost all our cities and towns in Ambazonia. So while all this is going on, the carnage is being visited on our people. Depopulation is ongoing. Mass rape is ongoing. Mass killing of the male gender is ongoing. While they are moving on to the next plan, which is what you are seeing, taking our land. So, and I said all this is in anticipation of what they expect will happen. When Mr. Paul Biya closes his eyes and his son Frank comes to the church and says it is time to take over. They fear that he, in taking over, that the transition between him and his father could become really horrible. That things can happen. Because don't forget, the other day I came up here and I shared with us a screenshot of statements by Mr. Gibai Gatama. Gibai Gatama is from northern Cameroon. It's from the north, the Grand North, the Adamawa, the north and the far north, but he's specifically from the north. He was speaking on behalf of one organization he created titled 10 million de Nordists, that is 10 million Northerners. And he was speaking therefore, I was speaking on behalf of the 10 million Northerners, that power will come rain, come shine, will return to the north. That was a direct challenge to Frank Biya, who has been gesticulating all over the place, expecting that once his father closes his eyes, he will take over. And that's why he's already on this charm offensive, as you can see in France. For all his existence, for all his 50 years, you've never seen Frank Biya mix with anyone who is a commoner. Although this picture is meant to give you the impression that these are commoners, they are not. It's meant to give you the impression that, oh, Frank is a very simple guy, he's a youth. It's a young man who is mixing with young people freely, and they are not. These are family members and children of the families of the Paul Biya oligarchy that are doing everything to maintain Biyaism after Biya. Those are their children. They cause them to dress the way they are dressed deliberately, to find themselves in this area deliberately, to sell an image. Recall in my last broadcast here, I was talking about propaganda. I was talking about crisis communication. I was talking about communication that's critical communication in this kind of circumstances. This is what you see here. And so all the carnage and everything that's being visited on our people right now is what they call in French préparative dangereuse. They need to depopulate, especially the male gender, so that when they will be locked in the battle of their lives, perhaps pitting the Bulu Ekambeti against the Northerners, they should have reduced, minimized the impact that will have on their ongoing genocidal campaign in Ambazonia. They should have depopulated the place of the male gender such that the fighting force cannot grow. And so they will be able to confront themselves until, even if it takes how many years, and when they are done, they can come back and meet us at the same position. We must deny them that pleasure, my people of Amazonia. We must deny them that pleasure. That is why I'm here. That is why I'll be coming to this set day in, day out. That is why I will never care about the insults from whosoever. That is why we must make it impossible for numbskulls like this one. That is why we must make it impossible for nincompoops like this one. That is why we must make it impossible for buffoons like this so-called form of Kejom Keku. Make it impossible for them to auction our future to La République du Cameroon because of bread and sardine. That is why we must continue to stand together. That is why we must continue to fight together. That is why we must continue to make efforts to reconcile among ourselves. Anytime you think that you want to draw back, think of these two little girls. Listen to them again.
And I'm a Bakurian. Since that incident, since the day of the incident, Mr. Enga has been threatening me, he has been calling my phone, he has been calling me that because I told him that I'm going to report this matter. He said if I mention that it's 1 second for him to kill me, that he's going to end my life. And since I'm not working freely, like I'm scared of my life because I don't know the next step that he can do. He told me that he's a general in Central Police there, that if he wants to frame me up, it's 1 second for me. Since that day, I've been really traumatized, and he's only calling me and be threatening me that he's going to kill me. If I don't sleep with him again, that he will kill me. That if he does not sleep with I and my friend, that he's going to kill us. This is my friend, her name is Yolan.
Yeah, my name is Iya Yolan Bukwe. I'm a Bakurian from Bukoba, a school at GHS Bukoba Roram.
This was just a repetition. I know we have all watched it. I know we all listened to it. But again, my people, let us stand strong. Sometimes you need to learn to be quiet, even when you have a lot to say. As we prosecute this liberation movement, if you have nothing to offer, instead of opening your mouth wherever to discourage those who are still determined to march on, to discourage those who understand the value of the lives of our people and are determined to fight all the way to the end, instead of opening your mouth to say something that will set confusion at the time we are trying to build synergy, shut it up. Shut it up, folks. Shut it up, comrade. Because sometimes you need to learn to be quiet even when you have a lot to say. If what you are going to say is not going to move this liberation movement forward, please, I beg of you, shut it up in the interest of our people who are dying. Shut it up in the interest of our people who need freedom. Shut it up in the interest of a free and independent Ambazonia, of a free and independent Southern Cameroons. My dear folks, we must stand strong. If you are in the diaspora, wherever, call back home. Our people back home need our assistance. Let's not be blinded by the insults we have sometimes coming from the ground to us in the diaspora. It's out of exasperation. It's also out of setup by, some of the so-called elite so determined to continue to live on our blood. They set those people up because they want to create a wedge between us in the diaspora and our people on the ground, because we know we are their life wire and they cannot totally control their thought pattern. They cannot totally brainwash them because we are standing in the gap. Despite the exasperation they have sometimes and do insult us and call us names, turn a blind eye to all of those. Consider them Things are happening from people who are undergoing serious mental issues, and so therefore they can be carried away sometimes by mood swings. Let us continue to stand in solidarity. Call our people back home. Give them the necessary support and assistance to continue to stand strong. They are brave. They are really doing such a marvelous and great job, standing strong despite the onslaught from La République du Cameroon. Let us continue to be each other's keeper. To God and to Him alone be all the glory. Our luta continua.